So this video today is going to show you an alternative way to how you've probably been adding saturation to your videos in DaVinci Resolve. I've already taken my footage into a Rec 709 color space, but I haven't done anything else to it yet. I've not added no exposure, I've not adjusted the exposure, I've not added no contrast, I've not done anything else to this footage apart from taking it into a Rec 709 color space from S-Log3, which it was shot in. If you don't know how to take it into Rec 709 using nodes, I've done a basic video on that I will link at the end of the video for you. Now, if I was going to start grading this footage, I would go through my steps. What I've done a basic node tree here. I've taken it into DaVinci Wide Gamut, and then I've taken it into Rec 709 at the end from S-Log3. But what I've done is I've obviously chucked in exposure, contrast, and saturation just for the purpose of the video to show you a basic node tree. Now, what I'll do is I'm not going to play with anything else today. As you can see, the image isn't looking too bad straight out the box as such. So I'm just going to dive straight into the saturation side of stuff and get straight to the point. If you look, I've got two videos. They are exactly the same videos stacked on top of each other, just for the purpose of the video. So I'm going to do one way on the bottom video and then show you another way on the top video and compare them side by side. So if I disable the top video, we'll work on the bottom video and we'll come straight to the saturation node. I'm going to ignore, as I said, going to ignore the rest of it today. I'm just going to dive straight into the saturation side of things. So if we look at this bottom video, we'll come to the saturation node, and what we'll do is we'll just use the saturation dial, start to dial in some real saturation and get to a point where we'd say, right, that is probably looking there or thereabouts, maybe a touch over, or maybe let's just do this just a touch over, just to really show the purpose of the video and the example more clearly. So obviously there'd be a lot more color grading to do in this video, but we're going to just leave that as it is for now and just look at the saturation side of stuff. So I've really pumped up some saturation in there, and we're going to leave that as that for now. Now, if I liven up the second video on top, you'll see there that there's a clear difference there, and we've really pumped some saturation into that. But what I'm going to do is this top layer now. What we're going to do with this node is, instead of leaving this as a normal node, what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this node and we're going to come into color space. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go down to HSV, and what that is hue, saturation and value. Hue and saturation, the V in this stands for value, and that is in layman's terms, it is brightness as such. I'm not going to go into detail, but it's kind of brightness. So it's kind of hue, saturation and value, which is brightness. So we're going to put that node into that color space. Now what we're going to do, we're going to come into the channels, we're going to turn off channel 1. So we're going to turn off hue, back down to the channels, and we're going to turn off channel 3, and that is turning off value as well. So we're turning off brightness as well. So all we're working with in this node is we are in HSV mode, and all we're working with is channel 2, which is saturation. What that does is that gives us much more control of the saturation that we're working with in this footage. So what I would normally do is I would 9 times out of 10 I would leave the gain, and what I would do is I would adjust the saturation by using the gamma wheel. So if we start to dial up the gamma wheel, dial it to where we kind of want to match the other video, I think we're there or thereabouts. Now if I disable the top video and we start to compare the two side by side, what you'll notice is the first method, where you're driving up the saturation wheel down the bottom here, you're adding a lot of brightness into the image. Whereas the second way, you're kind of keeping a lot more of the detail in the footage. You're adding saturation, but if you look down the orange graffiti in the wall, you can really see the brightness difference. And to me, this second image is a lot nicer looking image. Now what you could do is come across to the other nodes. To be honest, I'd leave the exposure on that shot. I would maybe come across to the contrast. I'd maybe drop me a little S-curve in there to try and bring a bit of contrast into the image, and you could go on and stylize your footage from there onwards. But that is a better way of adding saturation to your footage in DaVinci.